By far, Electronic Arts' big game of 2018 is Anthem. Being developed by BioWare Edmonton, this new IP is a multiplayer action role-playing game in which players take the role of a freelancer, donning fully customizable exosuits called Javelins. EA previously has described Anthem as being the start of maybe a 10-year journey, which should sound familiar because the exact same thing was said about Bungie's Destiny, which it also should be noted that Anthem looked very similar to. Anyway, following Star Wars Battlefront 2, Electronic Arts has a big problem, and that is microtransactions. Moving forward, they will have to be very careful. Some inside sources have already made it very clear that EA is changing up a lot of their upcoming games, which includes Anthem, as well as the next Battlefield. It seems that what was originally planned for Star Wars Battlefront 2 was going to make its way to other games, but because of the outrage that EA received, they are now backtracking. In early November, before the whole debacle on Battlefront 2's microtransactions began, Anthem's creative director Brennan Holmes went to Reddit and responded to some fans' worries over toxic loot boxes, in which he said the following: "I hear you. We're talking a fair bit about this at the moment. I can't really talk about it too much, but it's an ongoing discussion, and if it helps at all, we're gamers too. A bunch of folks on the team have similar positions on monetization, so that perspective is definitely represented." On the same thread, Brennan Holmes was asked about what he thinks is the worst type of monetization in video games, in which he responded with, "I think it has to do with the philosophy around it. The first thing that most people do is look at the value of the sweat currency as compared to the premium currency. Personally, I prefer games where the ratio is somewhat reasonable, i.e., I can reasonably acquire currencies to purchase things through regular play. Personally, I also don't like it when some things are only available for premium purchase." I've said it before and I'll say it again, with developers, artists, and really anyone working on these games, they should not be blamed for what they are forced to incorporate into their games. But remember, these comments from Brennan Holmes came before the whole Battlefront 2 debacle, and DICE apparently thought that the game was fair, going so far to try and justify locking one of Star Wars' most notorious characters behind a paywall. We all know how that went. Recently, industry analyst Michael Pachter discussed what he thinks will happen with Anthem's microtransactions. It should be noted that we actually talked about Michael Pachter in my most recent video, in which he said he believes Battlefront 2 would rebound in sales because the overreaction is done. But anyway, Pachter in an interview with Gaming Bolt had this to say regarding microtransactions. "I think if you look at companies that are successful in microtransactions, you'll see that they are either making mobile games or free-to-play PC games. So there's some formula to creating a compelling game along those lines that doesn't seem to have translated over that well to console games yet by big publishers. I think the analogy is the big publishers are like movie studios making the cinematic experiences like Sony with Uncharted and Rockstar with Grand Theft Auto. So deciding that you like the other model, the mobile or League of Legends model, that's not so easy to do. If it were, you'd see every company doing it. I think one of the big issues that these Wall Street analysts like Pachter don't understand is that people don't like paying $60 and then having part of the game locked behind a slot machine. It ruins the experience for many, and his use of the word "yet" shows you that these analysts know eventually there will be another attempt to make Battlefront 2's original microtransactions a reality. The question is when. But he continues on saying, "So the question for Anthem is, will EA screw it up like with Star Wars? Or will they follow the Overwatch and Destiny roadmap, where the actual game is fun to play and the payments are ancillary? Because where they got into trouble with Star Wars was making it pay to win. Had they limited themselves to purely cosmetic items, I don't think anyone would have said anything. So Anthem has the potential to be Destiny like in terms of game experience, and Overwatch like in terms of microtransactions offered, where it's all cosmetic and no one bats an eye. And let's be honest, that's not true at all. Any game that costs $60 and has any form of loot boxes gets ridiculed at least a little, because it's seen as a cash grab. Games like Overwatch and even Call of Duty World War II, which are cosmetic, are still a massive problem in my opinion, because once people get used to it, publishers like Activision always try to take it a step further. Also, let's be completely completely honest, cosmetic items do have an effect on the gameplay experience, something that some people agree with, some people disagree with, but when you have one player walking around in maybe their diamond armor, it entices other players to spend money, and that's when we get into the predatory nature that are loot boxes. Now getting back to Pactor's comments, he continues with, but the truth is, BioWare has made several games that have sold around 5 million, so I'm very comfortable saying Anthem will sell at least that much. 7 or 8 million? Yes, if it's a great game. 10 or 20 million? Probably not, but we'll find out. Bungie did that with Destiny, Blizzard does that all the time. BioWare has not yet done that, but I'm encouraged because we have Casey Hudson back, since he is very capable, so I'm confident Anthem will be great, and it will do well on the whole. I think right now Electronic Arts is on probation with gamers. I think everyone is watching everything they do. I don't think they can afford to put an onerous microtransaction scheme in any game going forward. They need to re-earn gamers' trust again, so I hope they are sobered by this experience and learn from it, but I think they are smart people, so I'm sure they will do the right thing going forward. We will see. Do the right thing going forward in Electronic Arts doesn't really go together, never has, as well as EA is on probation with gamers. Probation would be like they messed up once or twice. If you played video games for more than maybe 5 years, you know the years and years and hundreds of anti-consumer things Electronic Arts has done. I've discussed in another video the additional problems Anthem faces, but microtransactions will be its biggest. EA even incorporating any loot boxes is something that many players are not going to be happy with, and honestly I would not be surprised if they mess this up even if it is just cosmetic. While I did think Anthem looked somewhat interesting, after Battlefront 2 and the years of EA's abuse on consumers, I just can't get excited for anything they release. But I will say, EA better be very careful with Anthem, because they've already experienced once the wrath of angry gamers, something that has also led to governments starting investigations and drafting laws that could put an end to microtransactions. A round 2 could be a complete knockout punch to EA and their slimy monetization schemes. Anyway guys, what do you think EA will do with Anthem? Let me know in the comment section below, but thank you for watching. Make sure to like the video if you did enjoy or found any informative value, and consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.